Podcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar on cnPilot outdoor Wi-Fi solutions. We'll go over Cambium cnPilot line of enterprise and service provider outdoor access points. We'll review some of their common features, capabilities, and also describe a few recent installations that we have done with our outdoor APs. First, a quick background on Cambium Networks. So Cambium was spun out of Motorola back in 2012. And since then, we have now installations in over 140 countries around the world. Each of the red circles on this world map represents a country which has a cnPilot Wi-Fi installation. We have shipped a total of 8 million radios, including Wi-Fi, as well as the point-to-point and point-to-multipoint solutions that Cambium provides. And we have over 4,000 channel partners around the world, who help us bring our solutions to the market. The cnPilot Wi-Fi portfolio comprises both of indoor and outdoor access points. So for indoor installations, we have the E410 and the E600, which are 802.11 AC Wave 2 2x2 and 4x4 access points. We have the E430W, which is purpose-built for hospitality installs. So this is a wall plate access point meant to be installed in hotel rooms and dormitories. And then we have a portfolio of outdoor access points. These are ruggedized 2x2 11 AC dual radio APs, the E500, 501S, and the 502S. All the APs have an integrated antenna. The main difference between these three APs is the kind of antenna they have. The 500 is an omnidirectional. The 501S and the 502S are wide and narrow sector APs, respectively. And then from a management perspective, we offer multiple options for management and control of these access points. cnMaestro is our network manager and wireless controller. cnMaestro is available both as a cloud version, so it's accessible at cloud.cambiumnetworks.com. It's also available as a software install, which you can run on premises. This is for customers who may not want to use cloud and want to use a controller on a local server. And we also support a mode called autopilot, where one access point can act as a controller for other APs on the network. So for very small networks up to 32 access points, one of the APs can be turned into a controller. And then otherwise, cnMaestro is really our purpose-built network manager and wireless controller. One notable thing about the wireless controller, cnMaestro, is that accessing it is free. So we don't charge for AP management. There are no AP licenses. So on the enterprise portfolio, just to recap, we have the three APs today with three different antenna types. We are now introducing a newer access point, the cnPilot E700. The E700 is an omnidirectional AP, just like the E500, but it moves from 11 AC Wave 1 to Wave 2. And on 5 gigahertz, instead of being limited to 2x2, this is now a 4x4 access point. And we'll go over some of the features of 700 and a comparison with the 500 in upcoming slides. So cnPilot APs have been designed for ruggedized outdoor installs. This comes from Cambium's heritage and strong experience in both point-to-point and point-to-multipoint of making APs that can handle the elements outdoors, be installed on poles, on top of building rooftops in very harsh weather. So we've taken a lot of learnings from that and added it onto our Wi-Fi access point line as well. Some of the key features, and these are features that apply across the line to all of Cambium's outdoor APs. The APs are 11 AC dual band, and we support various antenna options. So there are deployments where an omnidirectional antenna is helpful if you're providing service to a number of clients spread out over a large area. There are cases where you may want to focus coverage, or in very high interference or high density areas where a sector antenna would be more appropriate. And for those cases, we support the 501S and the 502S. So the family of products supports all the common antenna types that you would expect for a typical outdoor install. On the management side, we have a lot of flexibility with everything from a cloud-based controller to an on-premises software installed controller, and then autopilot, which was AP as a controller. A common feature of all our outdoor APs is high transmit power and antenna gain. So in general, the amount of transmit power that you can actually use will be limited by the local regulatory, but we try to design APs which have high antenna gain as well as high transmit power so that there is better reach of the APs and the APs can listen to client signals better. And we'll see this when we do the E700 and the E500 comparison, where we have gone from a 5 dBi antenna to a 8 dBi antenna now on the E700. Um, we have a common software that runs on all our enterprise access points, indoor as well as outdoor. And this supports a number of features which are important for both enterprise as well as service provider installs. So specifically from a service provider perspective, for a lot of the outdoor installs, we are seeing PassPoint, Hotspot 2.0, Wispar based captive portal solutions. So that is all supported on all our APs. We support various tunneling options. So Ethernet over GRE is the preferred tunneling option that we see in carrier Wi-Fi networks. We support that. We also support L2TP for some customers who may want to tunnel traffic over L2TP. Now tunneling is an option. The recommended approach is for the access points to locally bridge out traffic, but we support both modes. We also support controllerless auto RF. So one thing we have seen in outdoor installs is depending on a remote controller for making channel selection decisions is inefficient, and it's also potentially unreliable because you may lose connection to the controller, the connection might come back. So for very critical functions like roaming, like automatic RF management in terms of the channel selection of the AP, all the decisions are made independently by the AP itself. So it can fall back to controller if required for scale, but we have tried to make the APs as intelligent on their own. We also support features such as band steering and fast roaming. So if there are 5 gigahertz capable clients, they can be steered towards the 5 gigahertz radio, which provides a lot more bandwidth and the spectrum tends to be cleaner. We also support an inbuilt captive portal, and we'll go into some of the features of what our captive portal supports. And we interoperate with external captive portals. So for instance, if there is a captive portal that you're already using from Cloud4V or Purple Wi-Fi, Encap to a number of such vendors, the cnPilot APs have already been tested and are interoperable with all of them. Now the hardware itself has been specifically designed for outdoor installs. All our outdoor APs are IP67 ruggedized, so they can handle large amount of dust and water without any failure of the hardware. We also have LTE coexistence filters built in. So as we see LTE installs increase worldwide, APs are being installed on towers where they may be co-located with a LTE module or an LTE AP, and there could be potentially interference between the two. So we have a hardware filter built into our APs, which will help improve the performance in such installs. All the mounting accessories for pole and wall install are included with the APs. So these are not additional things that you would have to figure out and buy. The APs have a built-in heater, which allows us to support operating ranges in terms of temperature all the way from -30 on the E500 series to even -40 degrees on the E700 access point. And then our outdoor APs have 2 Ethernet ports. The second Ethernet port can also provide PoE out to another device. So we see typical installs where the Wi-Fi AP has been installed in a remote location, and then the backhaul is through one of our point-to-multipoint or point-to-point solutions. In these cases, the backhaul subscriber module that can be powered from the E500 or E700 access point. So this simplifies the cabling. This makes the installation a lot easier on the network. The PoE out is not specific to Cambium. We can also provide standard 802.3 AF PoE out. So this can be used to power, for example, a surveillance camera or even another Wi-Fi AP. So a lot of flexibility in install and a lot of ease of cable management once the AP has been installed. So the 3 different antenna types, we touched upon this with the E500 series where we have both omnidirectional, wide sector and narrow sector. And this slide kind of describes typical use cases of all 3. You would generally expect to use an omnidirectional access point when you have a very low interference and low client density environment where you're primarily looking for range. So this could be, for example, industrial installs, any enterprise outdoor, for instance, in the parking lot of your building, or rural Wi-Fi projects that we see, a lot of government-funded rural Wi-Fi projects. The next kind of antenna option that we typically see in outdoors, which we support on our E501 SAP, is a wide sector. So this is a sector antenna with about 90 to 120 degree coverage. This is for medium to high client density and interference environments. So this could be typically urban or semi-public venues. So event venues, event halls, concert halls, things like that. And then the last antenna type that we typically see used is a very narrow band sector. So we support a 30 degree beam width antenna on our E502S access point. And this is for very high density client installs or very high interference areas. It has a much higher gain antenna, but a very narrow focused beam. And this is typically used in stadiums, in concert halls where there is very high user density that you would need to cover. So let's go deeper into the cnPilot E700, which again is the newer access point that we're launching now. Some of the key features of this are it is 11AC Wave 2. So unlike the E500, which was 11AC Wave 1, it also supports 4x4 on the 5 gigahertz. So it does MU-MIMO. It also supports beamforming, and it has a much higher gain antenna. So this is a picture of the access point opened up, and there's a big 8 dBi antenna that we have installed inside the enclosure. So having integrated antennas makes installs a lot simpler. It cuts down the cost of having to buy and install external antennas. It also makes the overall look and feel of the AP a lot more integrated. So if you're, for example, installed in a concert hall or any such location where you would have large antennas sticking out, looks very, very conspicuous, the integrated antenna has a very nice look and feel as well. The E700 ships with standard metal brackets for mounting, which are non-tilt, but a tilting bracket is also provided as an accessory. So if there are cases where your installation requires the AP to be tilted and not parallel to the pole of the wall, that kind of install is also supported. And we've increased the temperature range on this AP. So as opposed to the minus 30 to plus 60 that we support on E500, the 700 can go to neg 40 and up to plus 65. So for really rugged installs. And just as an anecdote there, the E500 is today installed at the base camp of Mount Everest. We are also installed in the deserts of Rajasthan. So some of these temperature ranges that we see, our APs have been dealing with them in real life as well. Where on Mount Everest, we typically see sub-zero temperatures. And then in the deserts of Rajasthan in India, we see temperatures reaching 55, 60 degrees. The second Ethernet port supports PoE out, and again, both options of PoE out. We can do the Cambium custom, which is used on the typical Cambium subscriber modules for PMP and ePMP, or we can support 802.3AF for any standard PoE device. Another diagram showing a typical install of our Wi-Fi AP with a subscriber module. So the AP gets installed on the pole. You have one cable coming in, which provides PoE into the AP. And then from the second Ethernet port, you would have a daisy chain power and data connection going out to a subscriber module. So now on that one pole, both of these devices are installed up on the pole. You have to make sure that only one of these cables is coming up, and then you get both Wi-Fi service near the pole as well as a backhaul connection back to a PMP or ePMP access point. One quick note here is a PMP or a ePMP backhaul solution is a lot more reliable for outdoor installs compared to Wi-Fi mesh. So all our APs also support mesh, both E500 as well as E700. But in general, especially if it is a high interference environment or if it is an environment that requires an SLA, the purpose-built backhaul solutions from Cambium will outperform mesh solutions in almost any case. While for very simple one-hop installs, not very large distances, you could use mesh, and we do support mesh on all the Wi-Fi APs, including the E700. A quick note again on the LTE filter that is built in. So the interference is primarily in the 2.4 gigahertz band, and that is where we have the filter to cover to protect the 2.4 gig transmissions from the 2.3 gigahertz of LTE. And in our test that we have carried out, there is a significant performance difference with and without the LTE filters on the access point. Some of the comparisons with with the E500. So E500 is our Wave 1 2x2 outdoor AP. E700, we move to Wave 2. We add support for things like multi-user MIMO, for beamforming. We do support higher channel widths here, but practically given the available spectrum, it's likely that most installs will still use only 20 or 40 megahertz channels. We support 4x4 on the 5 gigahertz, and then the high antenna gain on the Omni antennas on the E700. One other thing we have done to further ruggedize the E700 compared to the 500 is increase the surge protection. So a lot of these outdoor installs, the access point has to deal with electrical storms, power surges, typical things that you may not see indoor, but the outdoor environment is a lot more challenging for access point hardware. So we have increased the surge protection that we have from 2 kV on the E500 series to 4 kV on the E700 now. And all of these improvements while keeping things like the LTE filter and PoE out from the E500. A quick comparison of the landscape of 4x4 11AC APs out there today and how the E700 compares with Meraki, Ruckus, and Aruba APs. So at this price point, you start seeing a lot of vendors either not have 4x4 or build a 4x4 that has other compromises. So for example, you'll see IP55 being used as a way to bring down the cost from some of the competitive vendors, or they do not have LTE filtering or the ability to provide PoE out power. So with the E700, you get all of that, and at a price point which is extremely competitive with all of these other APs out there. And this is for AP hardware. In addition to that, we have management, which is included inside the AP hardware. So any of these other vendors, you would also need to buy AP management licenses. With the cnPilot APs, you can use cnMaestro to manage the APs. You do not need to purchase any additional AP licenses or management licenses. We'll have a quick note on cnMaestro. So cnMaestro is our network manager and wireless controller. You can use it to install, to monitor, and even to monetize your Wi-Fi. So we see a lot of cases for outdoor install in parks, at event halls, where you may want to provide paid service, and cnMaestro has some built-in features which can help you do that. So cnMaestro is much more than management. While it does provide all the basic network management features, such as configuration and statistics, reports, APIs to connect to your own network management system. It can also manage both Wi-Fi and backhaul. So this is an important point. A lot of outdoor installs, you would be using both Wi-Fi APs as well as PMP or ePMP for the backhaul connections. And with cnMaestro, you can manage all of them from a single pane of glass. So you get end-to-end visibility of your whole network from one single location. And you can do all of that management also from one single location. So firmware upgrades, and then down to things like troubleshooting. So for instance, if you see a link down somewhere on the network, or if latency is very high, with cnMaestro, you can now troubleshoot hop by hop. So you can quickly find out if the issue is specific to one Wi-Fi AP or further upstream on an ePMP link that is providing the connection to that Wi-Fi AP. cnMaestro, again, as we mentioned, is available both cloud and on-premises. So both options, and it's your choice really to pick either cloud or on-premises. The user interface is the same, so you could also pick one and in the future move to the other mode. Most of the features are the same between cloud and on-premises. The main differences tend to be around things like APIs, which are currently on-premises only, and if you're tunneling traffic. So we support tunneling traffic on the on-premises version of cnMaestro. On cloud, we don't. But other than that, all of the management features, all of the captive portal features, the basic user interface, the ability to manage all the Cambium devices is common to both cloud as well as on-premises. So some of the guest portal features that we have in cnMaestro. So there's a fully customizable portal. So you can customize the web page, look and feel. You can upload your own software, your own image files for the background, for your logo of your company and so on. You can also configure rate, time, and quota. So for instance, you can limit user traffic to 1 Mbps or 2 Mbps based on bandwidth, or you can fix times. So you could, for instance, say an hour of access for every client who logs in. And you can also specify bandwidth quotas. So for instance, 1 Gbps. So a lot of fine-grained control options to manage the traffic on Wi-Fi. We also support multiple payment and authentication options. So we support social login, so you can have users log in with their Facebook or their Google credentials and then use that for marketing purposes. We also support a voucher based authentication system built into cnMaestro. So you could generate Wi-Fi access vouchers, distribute them to users, and then users can log in with those vouchers. We also support payment options. So PayPal is one of the APIs that we integrate with. We also integrate with QuickPay and IPPay. So any major credit card, if you want to charge people for Wi-Fi access, you could do that with cnMaestro today. And then lastly, although we have all of this built into Maestro, we also support external captive portals. So for instance, if you have Ucopia, Cloud4V, Purple, there are various providers with various different capabilities for captive portal, for locationing services, presence, and so on. We support all of them. So there's a very wide ecosystem. And if there are specific use cases for which you may not want to use the cnMaestro portal, you can use these, and the cnPilot APIs will interoperate with them. Let's go over a couple of notable recent outdoor installations. So we recently used the cnPilot E500 and E501S APs to provide Wi-Fi service at the Tour of Britain Wi-Fi race. So this was an outdoor install in a fairly quickly installed event scenario. This is not something where the APs would remain installed or be installed for a very long time. And that's where the power of management from the cloud comes in. The APs can be plugged in anywhere as long as you get a DHCP connection and a route back to the internet. They will show up on your cloud-based cnMaestro and you can manage them remotely. We also recently provided Wi-Fi service at a cricket stadium in India. So this was an install with over 27,000 spectators on site. We used our FiO2S, the narrowband sector AP, so that's the one that you see highlighted in the green circles here. And then in the press boxes and all the indoor locations, we use the E600 access point. So a mix of outdoor and indoor. And because they support the same feature set, are managed from the same location, run in many cases the same firmware file, it makes it very easy to mix and match indoor and outdoor installs at the same time. So we covered all the main seating areas, all the hospitality areas, the main gate, as well as the food stall area. So there was ubiquitous coverage of Wi-Fi all across the stadium from Cambium cnPilot APs. And then some of our largest scale networks, just to give an idea of, in addition to the diversity of install, we've also been dealing with some pretty large scale networks. The first one is a public Wi-Fi project in Colombia, where we have over 2,500 APs now live. And this is a photo of a typical install of that. This is across various parks in Colombia. The second picture here is of an install in India of a E501S, where now we have over 7,000 APs live on the network, all managed with cnMaestro. And then the last picture there is Facebook's Express Wi-Fi project, where Cambium provides the Wi-Fi APs as well as a large part of the backhaul solutions. And we work with a number of ISPs. So there are over 9 operators now spread across India and Africa, with thousands of access points installed to provide rural Wi-Fi. Okay, that was the last slide. Let's see if there are any questions posted so far. Okay, so we have a question on what kind of PoE out we support. So we support both options of PoE out. We support the Cambium PoE, which is 30 volt, as well as the standard 802.3 AF, and this is software switchable. So when you plug in a device, the PoE out is off by default on the second Ethernet port. You can enable it, and when you're enabling it, you have a choice of picking either the Cambium version, or the standard 3AF. Okay, we have a request for the slides. So the recording and the slides will be posted on our forum after the presentation. How many APs can Maestro support? So the cloud version of Maestro can, pretty much scale as APs are added. We just launched more instances of cnMaestro. The on-premises version officially supports 4,000 APs today. We do have an install with up to 10,000 access points. One thing to note in Maestro is some of the features in Maestro, and this is something that is noted on the Maestro screens, will be a paid service on top. So although Maestro is free, the basic access point management is free. Every feature that you see today is free and will remain free. There are some features which are marked with a label called Pro. Uh, Anything marked with a label called Pro will likely turn into a paid service in the future. And the 4,000 to 10,000 scale is something that we are considering making it into a paid service. So Maestro can support 4,000 APs today for free, and we're looking to add support officially for 10,000 APs as a cnMaestro Pro version. Okay, if there are any other questions, you can please post them in the chat window of GoToMeeting here. Let's give it another minute to see if any other questions come in. Okay, looks like that was the last of the questions. So thank you everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. And I hope you found the cnPilot outdoor APs interesting and would like to try them out sometime. Thank you.